Welcome back, boys. In today's video, I am going to be talking about gynecomastia. Now, this is a very common topic and a very common topic that I get asked to speak on. Now, in this video, I'm going to be explaining what exactly causes gynecomastia, what it is, and how you can prevent it. Real quick, if you wanted to follow along or get an understanding reading the analysis I am basing this off yourself, then you could go ahead and look in the comments. I have a link to that analysis. Now, a lot of people think the only cause of gyno is steroids. It's not something that you could naturally get. And the fact is, that is simply false. 60% of boys at the age of 14 have developed gyno in recent studies. And this is an absurd amount. This is showing that we really are developing a large amount of breast tissue, more now compared to before, and we just need to understand why that is. We need to understand how to prevent that, and is there any treatment? I'll be discussing that later. Now, what exactly is gyno? Well, it's the formation of breast tissue in men. Now, what causes this? It's a combination of different things. You actually have androgen receptors, progesterone receptors, estrogen receptors, and prolactin receptors inside your nips. So this area is where all these things bind to. So the only one of those that has a positive impact on preventing it is actually testosterone. I'll be talking later why people on steroids still get it despite the fact that testosterone plays a role against this. And then the rest of those, when they are in excess, they cause gyno. Now, I told you the things that contribute to the development of gyno. And before I talk about the negatives, specifically the things causing negative effects on your body, I want to talk about the thing that is having less of a positive effect on your body, and that is testosterone. So the first thing you could do to prevent the development of gyno is naturally increase your testosterone. Have a naturally higher level of testosterone, and this is going to help prevent gyno. Now, on the other side, what actually causes gyno? Well, first of all, estrogen. If you have a lot of external estrogen going inside of your body, you are naturally going to be more prone to developing gyno. Now, the other thing is prolactin. There's a few things that increase prolactin, but the common issue in the modern day is jerking off. This is going to increase your prolactin levels and make you more prone to gyno. I'm going to explain why high levels of prolactin aren't necessarily the cause of gyno later, but just know that you don't want to spike them for absolutely no reason. Prolactin actually has many negative effects, so simply do not jerk off because you don't want an excess of prolactin. Now, I'm going to get into some brief science of it. So, I mentioned all the receptors inside of your nips. Well, for any of those to actually play their role in developing gyno or breast tissue, you need a sufficient level of growth hormone and IGF-1. These are what actually allow it to happen and allow it to develop. So you may ask, well, why do I still want to increase my growth hormone? Well, simply, growth hormone helps with the growth of everything. If you are taking growth hormone, then that is likely going to make you much more prone to gyno because now any little amounts of these that you have are going to very quickly develop gyno. So most people solely think of testosterone or injecting testosterone when they see somebody with gyno, but growth hormone is also a big factor. Now, natural levels of growth hormone are not a concern. Once again, your body naturally produces these things. If your body is at its natural level, then you're not going to develop gyno. Gyno is not a natural thing for most humans. It used to be a very rare thing. First, I want to talk about prolactin. Now, Dr. Andrew Huberman says this is the big cause of gyno. It's not estrogen. It's not any of this. It's solely prolactin. And well, that is simply wrong. That is misinformation. You could read what I am reading. There are several other studies showing that estrogen is in fact the main cause. And there are also studies saying that if you have high levels of prolactin, then that is going to lower your luteinizing hormone, which is going to crash your estrogen and therefore prevent gyno. You actually do not get gyno if you have super high levels of prolactin. Now, having slightly above average levels from stupid tasks like jerking off is going to make you more at risk because it's not going to impact your estrogen. But a person who has hyper high levels of prolactin almost never has gyno. Growth hormone is the root, it allows any development. Prolactin increases your risk until it's too high and it lowers your luteinizing hormone. So we have progesterone and estrogen left to decide which one of these two are the main cause. Now, quickly, I'm going to touch on progesterone. Now, while it does contribute to gyno, it's not seen as the main cause once again. The bigger issue with progesterone is that people with high progesterone end up having high IGF-1 levels, which stimulates your ability to produce gyno or produce breast mass. Now that brings us to the last factor, and that is estrogen. Now, estrogen has the highest level of correlation with gyno, and it plays hand in hand with testosterone. Now, when I say estrogen has the highest level of correlation to gyno, I don't necessarily mean that high levels of estrogen cause high levels of gyno. What I mean is individuals who are above the 20-to-1 testosterone estrogen ratio. You want to aim for a 20-to-1 testosterone estrogen ratio. And if you are above that, then you are going to be at risk of gyno from having excess estrogen. Now, the risk of taking stuff like steroids is it causes more aromatization. Your body converts more testosterone to estrogen. And what happens during this process is you increase your amount of estrogen and progesterone receptors. So now not only are you having that extra estrogen, but there's now more receptors for it to bind to. So now you can actually develop a noticeable mass because it has a location where it could develop. So we know that testosterone helps prevent gyno by binding to the androgen receptors in this area. And something I want to throw out there that's never been confirmed, I just think you should consider it, is L-carnitine. Now, L-carnitine increases the amount of androgen receptors inside of your body all throughout it. I assume if it's increasing your androgen receptors everywhere, then your nips would be included. And if they are included and you have sufficient levels of testosterone, then you're going to have more testosterone binding to this area, which is going to help prevent it. So theoretically, it makes complete sense in my head, but I haven't found any confirmation on this. So don't take it for 100% fact. It's just what makes sense to me, and I am relatively confident that this is the case. So if you're trying to prevent gyno, you don't want to do it by reducing aromatization. This has positive effects on you. It helps your brain development, and it also helps your libido. Now, what else is there to do? Well, there's something that I haven't taken, and I haven't done a whole lot of research on the negatives, but I know exactly what it does. You could do your own research on this. It is called Nolvadex. Now, Nolvadex is something that prevents the function of the estrogen receptors inside of your nips, therefore preventing gyno. It has been seen to be extremely effective at preventing gyno. It's used to treat breast cancer in women and men. So this is exactly what it is made for. And as far as I know, it does not impact your testosterone. Once again, do your own research on it. That is all I have for gyno. Join my email list, subscribe, and remember, perspicacity is our grindstone for success. Keep on grinding, boys.